couple of things out of this book. I bought this a couple of weeks ago. Ordered it off the internet. The title of the book is None of These Diseases. The title is based on Exodus 15:26. If you will hearken diligently to the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, and will do that which is right in his sight, and will give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will put none of these diseases upon you. This is written by a guy called, his name is Dr. S.I. McMillan. I didn't get very far into the book before I found this profound statement. He says this: we mortals might as well face it. The human mind is so warped by pride and prejudice that proof can rarely penetrate it. That's a pretty astounding comment to make. But then we get over into chapter 3. The title of this chapter is Science Arrives 4,000 Years Late. Now, much of what he talks about in the first part of this chapter is the report of a gynecologist at the Mayo Clinic. And this gynecologist noted that in 568 consecutive cases of cervical cancer, there was not a single Jewish woman among those 568. And he noted that the Jewish women made up 7% of those patients that he saw. So he said, of the 568, statistically 40 of them should have had cervical cancer, but none of them did. To that, Dr. McMillan makes these statements. Why are Jewish women comparatively free of cervical cancer? Medical researchers now agree that this spectacular freedom results from the practice of circumcision in Jewish men, which Yahweh ordered Abraham to institute 4,000 years ago. A number of recent studies have borne out the fact that freedom from cancer of the womb is not due to factors such as race or food or environment, but wholly to circumcision. That's a pretty profound observation and statement to make. Now he makes this declaration on page 21 of the book. There are some people that doubt the miracles by which Yahweh protected the Israelites, and I'm using the name Yahweh, he doesn't. Some people doubt the miracles by which Yahweh protected the Israelites during the plagues of Egypt and dried up the Red Sea for their escape from bondage. Yet, these miracles are small indeed compared to the miraculous, God-given directions that have saved the Israelites and others from plagues, epidemics, and cancers for many centuries. You hear what he just said there? That those are big miracles when we talk about the Exodus. But he said there are untold millions of miracles that happened all the time. They're innumerable. Miracles that happen simply because people obey Torah. Obedience to Torah keeps them healthy, is what he says there. Now, I'm going to read several paragraphs, but it'll tie into what we're going to talk about today. So listen to this. There is one final but remarkable unique fact about the matter of circumcision. In November 1946, an article in the Journal of the American Medical Association listed the reasons why circumcision of the newborn male is advisable. 3 months later, a letter from another specialist appeared in that same journal. He agreed heartily with the writer of the article on the advantages of circumcision, but he criticized him for failing to mention the safest time to perform that operation. This is a point well taken. L. Emmett Holt and Rustin McIntosh report that a newborn infant has peculiar susceptibility to bleeding between the 2nd and 5th days of life. Hemorrhages at this time, though often inconsequential, are sometimes extensive. It is felt that the tendency to hemorrhage is due to the fact that the important blood clotting element vitamin K is not formed in the normal amount until the 5th to the 7th day of life. If vitamin K is not manufactured in the baby's intestinal tract until the 5th to the 7th day, it is clear then that the first safe day to perform circumcision would be the 8th day, the very day that Yahweh commanded Abraham to circumcise Isaac. A second element, which is also necessary for the normal clotting of blood, is prothrombin. Now, prothrombin, as I understand it, is a protein in our blood, and when there is a bleeding that takes place, it turns into thrombin, which begins to clot the blood. So listen to this. A second element, which is also necessary for the normal clotting of blood, is prothrombin. Any surgical operation, I missed a sentence. Listen to this. A chart based on data discussed in Hope Pediatrics revealed that on the 3rd day of a baby's life, the available prothrombin is only 30% of normal. On the 3rd day, it's only 30% of what would be considered normal. Any surgical operation performed on a baby during that time would predispose to serious hemorrhage. We also see that the prothrombin skyrockets on the 8th day to a level better than normal. It records at 110%. It then levels off to 100%. So it appears that an 8-day-old baby has more available prothrombin than any other day in its entire life. Thus, one observes that from a consideration of vitamin K and prothrombin, the perfect day to perform a circumcision is the 8th day. Now, we should commend, we should commend the many hundreds of workers who labored at great expense over a number of years to discover the safest day to perform circumcision is the 8th. Yet, as we congratulate medical science for this recent finding, we can also hear the leaves of the Bible rustling. They would like to remind us that 4,000 years ago, when Yahweh initiated circumcision with Abraham, he said, "And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised." Abraham did not pick the 8th day after many centuries of trial and error experiments. It was a day picked by the creator of vitamin K. Now, isn't that awesome?
Yes, sir.
Wow. But now, he brings this chapter where he has praised the benefits of circumcision and praised the benefits of being circumcised on the 8th day. He brings it to a close by saying this. The Old Testament circumcision was a symbol or type that looked forward to the Messiah and the circumcision he performs on the carnal heart. Bodily circumcision is not required of Christians today because it looked forward to a greater circumcision that Christ now performs on the mind and heart of man. Is it not intriguing and appropriate that both the type and the fulfillment prevent deadly disease? It is hard to comprehend that this man spends a chapter talking about how awesome it is to obey Yahweh and how awesome the command in Torah is concerning Scripture. It's hard to comprehend how he will then turn and say, but we don't have to be circumcised today. Then he's also saying, well, you don't have to be circumcised on the 8th day either. In other words, his statement found on page 17 about how pride and prejudice are barriers that proof and truth have a hard time penetrating is proven in his own mindset. It's evident he's raised in a mainstream denomination, right? And that mainstream denomination has created a prejudice in him and a pride. That's what's meant by this. Prejudice means that we have an opinion that's not based on reason or experience, but it's one that's been not forced upon us, but one that has been given to us, and we've accepted it from somebody else, not because we've reasoned it out and not because we have actual experience, but we just trust the one who's telling us. So that creates the prejudice. And then because we belong to that group, it creates a pride, because if we veer from this opinion we have, then we have to admit we're wrong and that our whole group is wrong, and it causes all kinds of issues. So rather than admit that his church is wrong, because I also understand he served as a pastor and a preacher, rather than admit that his church is wrong, he can sit and look at all the facts, the proof, and the truth that are there in Torah and turn around and say, but we don't have to be circumcised today. It's beyond my ability to comprehend how he could do such things. Yahweh bless you and keep you. Yahweh make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. His name is put upon you, so shall he himself bless you.